Wabash Carnegie Public Library Oral History Program, November 1st, 1972, interviewing Joe Nixon. Joe, why don't we start off by getting your birthplace and birth date, your parents' name, your mother's maiden name.
Well, the birthday was 1913 in Terre Haute, Indiana, and my father's name was Don, and my mother's name was Cornelia Spaulding.
Okay. Where did you go to school? Grade school?
I went to grade school in Chicago and Iowa and Wabash.
And high school?
High school in Wabash.
Graduated in?
1931.
Okay. Went on to college?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
University of Pennsylvania.
Graduated?
No, I went 2 years.
2 years.
And went to work.
Okay. And you've been working since then at in the newspaper business?
Right.
Right. Okay. Was there something that you wanted to point out first? We're primarily interested in background on Honeywell's and Mr. Honeywell and the foundation and so forth.
Right.
When did you first meet Mark Honeywell?
First meeting. Boy, I don't think I can tell you when I first met him.
As a young man?
No. I don't remember the first time.
Well, let's go on from there then. What was the first association with Mr. Honeywell, and either his business or social?
Well, I think probably it was probably a party at his house.
And,
I really can't remember.
Yeah.
I would. I think we knew him socially. I think we knew him in a business way. Not too closely, but we used to do commercial printing, and we would solicit the Honeywell Company for printing. Of course, we would deal mostly with McDaniel, the purchasing agent.
Right.
But we got acquainted in that way too. I would say it was probably socially probably the party at his house.
Well, let's go on then. What is, as you look back now, what was your impression of Mr. Honeywell as you look back?
Well, he was involved in a number of things. He was involved in, of course, the Honeywell Company, and he helped start the bank, and he helped the country club. His father was a contractor, and he inherited this desire to build, and he was quite a builder. And this was significant because when the companies merged, well, he got into a position where he was ready, willing, and able to build, and he did build.
Well, let's go back and let's refer to your notes here. Let's take it from your viewpoint there.
Well, he was basically a plumber, an ordinary plumber. And it was interesting because when you would ride around with him to Wabash or surrounding towns, he can say, well, you see that house or that church? Well, he says, I can tell you all about the basement because I put the plumbing in it. And then as a plumber, the thing that really got him going was the generator. Hot water was used very little because they couldn't control it. When the water heated, it expanded. And unless they had some way to control it, well, it would explode. So he developed this generator that's made with mercury, and I still use one in my house. But it's this column of mercury. Have you seen one?
No, never have.
Well, I expect there are quite a few of them in use. But he developed this generator and making hot water heat possible. And of course, this is a very desirable type of heat. And when they got this generator, why, then the use of hot water for heating purposes grew, and this was really the thing that got him off the ground, and which helped him develop the the Honeywell Company. An unusual thing about him, he developed this, but he had the opportunity to develop other things too into big things.
Like?
For example, his family went to Florida in the wintertime.
Uh-huh.
And he used to go down there. It was DeLand, Florida, and they were one of the first people in the orange business.
Mm-hmm.
But oranges weren't too popular at that time, and they went through a bad winter or two, and they abandoned it.
Uh-huh.
But if they had stayed with it, they would have been one of the pioneers in oranges, and probably would have been big in oranges.
Yeah, I'll be darned.
So that was a kind of an interesting sidelight on his activities.
Go ahead. Anything
Well,
else?
he had a great sense of humor, and one of the favorite stories he liked to tell. I don't know whether he sold for the Honeywell Company or had some other job where he was selling, but he traveled around the country. But he studied hypnotism,
Mm-hmm.
and although he studied, he seldom tried it. But he was down south in some place like Missouri and had a little time on his hands, and there was a crowd there to maybe an old corner grocery or something. But he didn't have anything else to do, so he got involved in this hypnotism. But in the when you hypnotize somebody, you're supposed to give them a post-hypnotic suggestion of awakening, and he forgot to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So when he couldn't get this subject to wake up, well, he got very much concerned, and when he finally got it worked out, he decided he wasn't going to do it again, and he said he never did.
Yeah.
He had quite a consternation about that. But another one of the unique things about him was he was a perfectionist,
Mm-hmm.
and he just wouldn't hesitate to build something if he didn't like it, and it wasn't the way he wanted it, or there was something the matter with the materials or workmanship, he wouldn't hesitate to tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
And the expense meant nothing to him because he knew what he wanted and the way he wanted it, and he got it. He would try to avoid this. When he built the Honeywell Center, he had all kinds of mock-ups and paper mock-ups, or he'd get a good idea of what he wanted before he got into it. But nevertheless, there were things that were unavoidable, like this metal situation I was telling you about when he put in the ducts in the Honeywell Center. It was in the wartime, and your choice was very limited. But as when the war got over and better materials, metal of a thicker gauge, became available for ducts, well, he had all the ducts torn out and new ducts put in of the heavier metal.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this was something that the public would never see, but nevertheless, he knew the value of having quality materials in vital areas like this. But he loved to build, and he had this inheritance of building. He built that studio out there he got interested in photography, and he had two twins that one was Seth Larson and his brother, and he hired them as photographers, and he used Aileen Plummer Showalter and Marge Stewart Johnson in some of his movies. They were two of the pretty girls at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he made short movies out there in this studio that he built. Then he built the lodge out in the gardens. He built a beautiful home down in Florida, which is right across from the Eden Rock and the Fontainebleau. He built several golf courses, including the Tippecanoe Golf Course. And he built a cottage at Wallasee. And he helped build this present Wabash golf course. Then he built an island, Boca Chica, and this was a small island that he had two boats. He had the Semigo and the Olivet, which was a houseboat. But he had to build quite a seawall around this island to keep it from eroding.
Mm-hmm.
And he built quite a lighthouse on there, as well as building a cottage on it. Later during the war, he gave his to see me go in the Olivet to the Coast Guard to patrol the Florida coast. And he also gave his movie equipment, a lot of his movie equipment to the government during the wars. He was probably at that time the best equipped amateur in the country with movie equipment.
Are any of those films still around, Joe? Or do you know?
I think they are. I think they're probably around in the attic of the Memorial Building. Probably Phil Magner would know where they are.
Right.
They were 35 millimeter.
35 millimeter.
Yeah.
Anything else that you have a note on there of interest?
Well, he was very hospitable, and he liked to entertain. And at many of the parties where he entertained, people would bring their favorite instrument, and he liked to play the violin, and he was good on the violin. And so he had a lot of parties, and both here and in Florida, and up at Wabash City. He also helped develop and probably founded the Hoosier Arts Salon, which is still going, and they give awards to struggling artists and beginning artists and people like that. Then it was a very noteworthy thing that he was the head of a committee of 100 in Miami. This was originally 100 of the leading businessmen of the nation who went to Florida for winters, people like Harvey Firestone, Fred Snide, people like that. And he headed this up for, maybe 10 or 15 years or longer. And of course they would have meetings, they have distinguished speakers down there. And they all had homes down there, and a lot of these people he would entertain out at his island. But in building the island and the seawall around it, the lighthouse, well, here again, he built these things precisely, and if it was necessary to tear something down to get it the way he wanted, why he never hesitated to do this. He, of course, was here during the Depression, and the banks closed, and he was community-minded and knew that the community needed a bank, and was instrumental in putting up the money necessary to help get the bank open. They sold stock, and I guess he put in whatever balance was necessary to open a new bank.
Did you ever visit his house in Florida, Joe?
Yes.
What was it like?
Well, it was Florida style. It was 2-story, and he had a beautiful yard. It was on Indian Creek, and it had quite a big yard. Not much of a front yard. It was on the street, but it looked out over this yard, and then you looked over Indian Creek, and then you could look from there to the ocean before they put up the Eden Rock and the Fontainebleau hotels. But this was eventually sold, and it was sold to the former dictator of Venezuela that I met down there in 1955. And later he was kicked out of Venezuela, and he came up here and he bought this Honeywell property, and a property on each side of it, and then I think a fourth property, and I think he still owns it. But he was there and for several years until the American government agreed to extradite him back to Venezuela. Now I think he's riding high again. I think he's in the Senate and getting ready to run for president again.
Well, that's the whims of South American politics.
Yeah. But this was a beautiful house that Mr. Honeywell built down there, a tile roof. But it was long and low and beautiful yards.
Yeah. He was a good entertainer then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Did he himself drink?
Oh, I would say yes. He.
Anything in particular, or?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Did he smoke? Cigars?
I can't ever remember seeing him smoking.
Probably did. Was his health pretty good all the time that you knew him, Joe?
Yes, right up until he, very good health.
Physically a pretty strong man that...
I wouldn't say that. I remember him as being a rather slight. I would guess maybe he weighed in the area of about 160.
Was he a good dresser?
Excellent dresser. Meticulous dresser.
I heard that when Sweats came down to negotiate the merger. Would that be the name?
Right.
That,
right. Harold and Charlie Sweat.
Mr. Sweat got out of Mr. Honeywell's car, and his hat was all floppy, and his suit was wrinkled, and his tie was crooked, and made quite a contrast to Mr. Honeywell walking up the street. But he was just that type. They were both that particular type.
Mm-hmm.
What, Joe, do you know about the background on why Mr. Honeywell formed the foundation and what his long-range plans were and so forth?
Well, as I recall, the community service was up in this old community service gym on Hill Street, and it was condemned. Well, they talked about what they were going to do and where they were going to go, and I think they developed activities in several places downtown, and then they were going to build up there in Case Bakery site, which is up there at the corner of Wabash and Hill Street, and he had a very high regard for Cecil Mills and what Cecil Mills did with community service. So he got to thinking about it, and he just decided this would be inadequate. Now, there might be more background to that than I know. People like Wilberforce and others might have gone to him and sold him on this idea. I don't know about that, but my recollection is that he just thought this was an inadequate site and decided he would do something about it, and he talked with Cecil and developed plans, and he liked to build things, so he kept expanding it until he finally built what is there today.
Oh. What was Mr. Honeywell's community image, would you say, back in those days? Was first of all, was he conscious of a good image in the community, would you say?
Well, he was community-minded, and but I think he was a pretty busy person. I think he was probably gone. He would be gone in the wintertime, but when he was here, he would attend bank directors' meetings, and he would keep in touch with people like that. I think he would attend country club activities, and he would see people there. And but he wasn't downtown every day where he'd see somebody. I would say that he kept in touch with the community. There was, I think one time, if I remember right, I think it was Wabash Magnetics. They was thinking of moving away, and he went over and talked to them and told them this would be a deplorable thing, and gave them a lot of reasons why they ought to stay, and they finally did decide to stay. But he was very conscious of the community and things of that kind.
When did you go on the foundation board? Was Mr. Honeywell still active on the board then, or active in the operation?
No, I don't think Mr. Honeywell was ever on the board of the Honeywell
Well, I mean,
Foundation.
was he still active in the foundation and so forth? Or by this time had his health slipped away from him a little?
Well, as I remember, he wasn't too active at that time. I remember a few bank directors meetings that he attended, but it was shortly after that his health failed.
You were both on the board at the same time in the bank, then?
Yes.
At the same time. But your terms overlapped so that the two of you are only there at possibly 2 or 3 times?
I would say maybe a half a dozen times.
Did Mr. Honeywell take particular pride in the bank and the fact that he had started the bank up and so forth?
He took pride in everything.
Did he? Yeah.
There wasn't anything he didn't take pride in.
Good. Yeah. All right. I think that he'd really be pleased today if he'd seen that some of his environmental and ecology movements, particularly out at the gardens of that would bear such tremendous fruit as they have today, and beautiful. Just a great thing.
Well, the efforts that he made to get the best materials in the Honeywell center, like the wood in the doors, this has attracted people from international areas to come and see it because they hear about it and they want to see it, and it's so outstanding. It's something that a person like me that sees it every day kind of ignores it, but people that really know and are going to build, they appreciate the real value that's there and the effort and time and know-how that went into this.
I think that's the building is tremendous. There's no doubt about it.
I think he would be gratified to see crowds there, like we were there for Wayne King and
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he would.
Last Dancers and Van Cliburn and people like that.
I'm sure he would. Do you have any other notes that might be of interest relative to Mr. Honeywell?
I think it pretty well covers it.
As I pointed out to you at lunch, we're getting a lot of the factory employees and the internal material and Phil Magner and some of the others. No problems at all. Well, thanks, Joe. This has been real nice and most interesting.
All right.
When we get it all together, why, we may have a great big book.